Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to something a tiny bit different. This is going to be the opening of the Betrayed Vision story. So over the next week or so, I'm going to be trying something a bit different. This video, next video, and depending how these videos do, the video after that, will all be its own timeline in a way. Each video will view a different perspective from a different main character of what is happening, and you will see different perspectives of the things you watched in the previous video of the story. They will still be what ifs, but just part of a broader story I'm building. To make a long story short, this is the opening of a timeline I want to continuously build within my videos. I could either continue this timeline, or I could build another timeline with different characters later on. I wanted to add a bit of jazz to what ifs, and there's no better way than to create your own continuous timeline with events catered to that timeline only. I know that's sort of a hectic explanation, but I'm sure y'all will understand it as the videos come out. Don't forget to join the Discord. We are building an amazing community over there. We host daily questions, we have an active mod team, and so on. Yeah, I know this was a bit of a longer intro, so let's get right into the story now. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy. In the ominous shadows cast over the revered Jedi Temple, Anakin Skywalker, the prophesized Chosen One, ascends the imposing steps leading to the formidable bosom. In a swift and merciless dance, Anakin's lightsaber weaves through the futile defenders of his former comrades. The once noble defenders of peace stand no chance against the overwhelming power and darkness that Anakin has succumbed to. Each swing of his blade adds to the grim symphony of destruction echoing through the halls of the temple. In this harrowing moment, darkness engulfs Anakin, and an insidious cloud clouds his vision. The echoes of the fallen Jedi reverberate as the Chosen One is consumed by the abyss, living behind the temple tainted by betrayal and despair. Anakin woke up in a sweat. His throat ached like he'd been screaming, and he looked over to see Padme Amidala already comforting him. Padme had heard the screaming and was already up, trying to wake Anakin up, to no avail. Anakin sat there for a moment, trying to comprehend what he saw, what he is capable of. It shook him to his core. Padme spoke up. "What is it you saw?" Anakin looked up for a moment and stared at his secret wife. Her eyes pierced through his skin, and he knew there was no getting out of it. Anakin wasn't a communicator. It was his biggest downfall, to say the least. He refused to talk about anything bothering him, but it's who he was supposed to be as a quote-unquote Jedi. Anakin hated talking about himself truthfully. Not that he didn't care about himself, but it was just the fact that it seemed like no one listened, excluding his wife, of course. But due to that distance, he fears of losing her too by coming out. Anakin decided, against his will, to tell her.
"It was terrible, awful. I saw pain, death, destruction. At the temple, the clones attacked all of them. And what the worst part is,
Anakin stopped.
I was the one leading the clones against the Jedi. In my dream, I cut down the Jedi archivists and a group of Jedi defending themselves. And I slaughtered them. Like it was the Tuscans on Tatooine when my mother died."
Padme absorbed every word with unwavering attention, a mix of fear and grief settling within her as she listened to Anakin recount his haunting nightmares. Her concern deepened as she observed a solitary tear tracing down its path down her husband's face. Amidst the disjointed narrative and anxious musings that spilled from Anakin's lips, Padme remained a steadfast witness, embracing not only the tangible details but also the intangible fragments of his distress. Anakin's turmoil manifested visibly. His agitated movements and palpable fear painted a portrait of vulnerability that Padme had not witnessed before. This was a fear unlike any other, etching itself into Anakin's countenance and an intensity that surpassed previous encounters. Within the maelstrom of Anakin's troubled thoughts, questions churned relentlessly. The notion of himself committing unspeakable acts haunted him, a prospect that filled him with trepidation. The conflict within him, a simmering discord with the Jedi, now manifested as a visceral dread for a future tainted by unthinkable deeds. the inconceivability of slaughtering not only those aligned with the Jedi Council, but also innocent knights not associated with it perplexed and terrified him. As realization dawned upon Anakin, a fervent need to unburden himself emerged. Yet his confidants were scarce. Obi-Wan was distant on Utapau, and a strained relationship with Mace Windu left Anakin hesitant to seek counsel. Thus, in his quest for solace and guidance, Yoda remained the only beacon of trust. Anakin, casting a lingering glance at Padme, sealed the moment with a kiss and whispered,
"I'll be back,"
before hastening out the door. A disconcerting intuition seized Padme at that instant, an inexplicable premonition that she might not encounter her husband again in the same light. The weight of uncertainty hung in the air as she grappled with the foreboding sense that Anakin's journey might irrevocably alter the essence of the man she once knew. Amidst the clinking machinery and industrial hum of Coruscant's underbelly, Palpatine seethed with frustration. His sinister Sith alchemy, a tool crafted for manipulation, had failed to yield the desired results. Dreams of Padme's demise in childbirth, intended to stoke Anakin's fears, have veered off course, thwarting Sidious's meticulously laid plans. From his shadowy vantage point, Palpatine, ever the puppeteer, pondered a risky gambit. He acknowledged Anakin's awareness of his schemes, but saw an opportunity to delve deeper into the maelstrom of Skywalker's conflicted mind. The Sith Lord recognized the delicate nature of his manipulation, a gamble that could either propel Anakin towards the abyss or stir a defiant resistance against the encroaching darkness. Contemplating the broader scheme, Palpatine recognized the necessity of patience. The long game still held sway in his strategic playbook. Premature execution of his grand plan without Anakin's allegiance risked failure against the formidable presence of Master Yoda and the resilient Jedi defenders. Anakin by his side was an indispensable key to unlocking the Jedi Temple's gates. Resolute in his decision, Palpatine resolved to intensify Anakin's inner turmoil by implanting haunting dreams. In this calculated move, the Sith Lord aimed to exploit the vulnerability born in Anakin's deepest fears. Trusting in the Jedi's perceived blindness and arrogance, Palpatine perceived Anakin merely as a reckless figure, a pawn in the grand scheme of galactic conquest. Unbeknownst to the calculating Sith, the Force itself intervened in the unfolding drama. Anakin, the chosen one destined to bring balance, became a vessel shielded by the very fabric of the Force. The visions inflicted upon him were not a projection of Padme's demise, but a reflection of Palpatine's desires. The Force, committed to its cosmic equilibrium, countered the external influences that threatened to tip the scales of darkness. In this intricate dance of destiny, the Force safeguarded Anakin, ensuring that the true path to balance would not be swayed by external malevolence. In the veiled quiet of the night, Anakin hesitated before Anakin's door, reluctant to disturb the Grand Master. Urgency prevailed, and a tentative knock echoed through the corridor. Yoda, however, greeted Anakin with an unwavering serenity, revealing that he had sensed the disturbance in the Force and was awake even before Anakin's arrival. Anakin, disheveled and apologetic, stood before Yoda, aware of his less than dignified appearance. Yoda, indifferent to such trivialities, welcomed Anakin in. As they faced each other, Yoda perceived the weight on Anakin's shoulder and delved into the heart of the matter. "Solution to a problem you seek?" he inquired, cutting through the formality. Anakin confirmed his need for guidance, and Yoda motioned for him to take a seat. The Jedi Master observed Anakin's inner turmoil and acknowledged the unspoken turmoil within him. "Bothering you, something is. I can feel it," Yoda remarked, allowing a poignant pause for Anakin to find his voice. Silence lingered until Anakin, recognizing Yoda's patience, opened up about a haunting dream that transcended mere nightmares. As he revealed the darkness that unfolded within his subconscious, the Jedi Temple under siege, heinous acts committed in the name of the Jedi, A palpable tension filled the room. Yoda, discerning the gravity of Anakin's turmoil, probed whatever it was a mere dream or vision. Anakin hoped it was a dream, expressing a desperate desire to avert the unforeseen catastrophe. Yoda, wise in the way of the Force's ever-shifting currents, reassured Anakin that visions were not unchangeable destinies. Seeing Anakin's distress to this, Yoda gestured for a different approach. He guided Anakin into a meditative state, urging him to feel the Force coursing through his veins. As Anakin embraced the serenity of the moment, a sudden intrusion shattered the calm. A touch on his forehead transported him back into the nightmare, replaying the horrors he sought to escape. Caught in the turmoil of his visions, Anakin grappled with the unthinkable deeds he witnessed. The thin line between premonition and destiny blurred, leaving him haunted by the question, could he prevent himself from becoming the agent of darkness he feared? As the haunting scenes unfolded, within Anakin's consciousness, Yoda, unbeknownst to Skywalker, delved into the depths of his mind, witnessing the atrocities committed by Anakin and the clones. Even Yoda's venerable composure faltered. The heartbreak etched on Skywalker's actions cut through the wise Jedi Master, challenging even his resilience. Simultaneously, Yoda and Anakin opened their eyes, returning to the physical form. The Grand Master, contemplative and silent, drew parallels on his own visions of him and Skywalker battling Sidious, yet the intricate dance of the Force's will. The Grand Master, contemplative and silent, drew parallels with his own visions of him and Skywalker battling Sidious, the intricate dance of the Force's will. Yet, Yoda recognized the urgency of the situation and the lack of time for the traditional deep meditation that aided him before. Anakin, perplexed by the sudden onslaught of disturbing visions, sought answers. Yoda, with measured gravity, revealed that these were not ordinary Force visions. They were deliberately planted to sow the seeds of doubt within the Jedi Order. The Sith Lord, Yoda suspected, orchestrated these intricate manipulation with a purpose yet to be unveiled. Reflecting on Anakin's history, Yoda noted the recurring theme of darkness within him. The fear of losing loved ones, from his mother to Ahsoka, had shaped Anakin's deepest attachments, leaving him vulnerable to manipulation. Anakin, grappling with the realization that his life might have been a puppetry of external forces, questioned even the purpose of his own existence. Anakin's declaration to prevent the unforeseen devastation underscored his commitment. Yoda, however, met Skywalker's resolve with a glint of fear in his eyes. The impending destruction of the Jedi loomed, and Yoda understood the magnitude of the threat. The Jedi's survival hinged on Anakin's ability to resist the manipulation orchestrated by unforeseen hands, and the weight of this responsibility settled heavily on both their shoulders. The following evening, Anakin made his way to the Coruscant Opera House to rendezvous with his esteemed friend and mentor, Chancellor Sheev Palpatine of the Republic. Yoda granted Anakin the liberty to move freely, but cautioned him to remain wary of those beyond the Jedi Order's ranks. While the Jedi refrained from assigning the role of spying on the Chancellor, they did advise him to keep an eye out on any suspicious behavior. Though the Jedi did not outright accuse Palpatine of being the Sith Lord, they harbored suspicions that he might be associated, either directly or indirectly, with the Sith. Despite Mace Windu's objections, they shared these concerns with Anakin. Initially taken aback, Anakin eventually came to agree after receiving explanations from Obi-Wan. Yoda briefed the rest of the council on Skywalker's situation, understanding that confining him would only exacerbate matters, potentially leading him to lose faith in the Jedi and making him more susceptible to manipulation if indeed he was being influenced. At the Opera House, conversations flowed between Palpatine and Anakin, though the latter refrained from broaching the subject of Darth Plagueis, at least not immediately, as he hadn't been tasked with spying on the Chancellor. Palpatine, sensing no immediate conflict within Anakin, pondered how his meticulously planned manipulation was proceeding without a hitch. However, he subtly planted visions of Padme's demise in Anakin's mind, yet the young Jedi seemed unusually composed. After some time, Palpatine did end up breaching the subject of Darth Plagueis the Wise and his purported ability to cheat death, which piqued Anakin's interest. Although initially surprised, Anakin delved deeper into the discussion at Palpatine's urging. When Anakin later raised the topic with the Council, they acknowledged their lack of knowledge about Darth Plagueis, prompting Yoda to inquire about the source of Anakin's information. Initially hesitant, Anakin ultimately disclosed Palpatine as the source. The Council reacted with concern, noting that such information should have been documented in the Jedi archives if it were widely known. Anakin, realizing the gravity of the situation, sought clarification from the Council on the implications of his revelation. Mace Windu interjected. This suggests that Palpatine possesses deeper knowledge of the Sith than he lets on. Anakin, still holding onto his admiration for his mentor, swiftly dismissed this notion before the Council. He argued that it was inconceivable for Palpatine to be involved with the Sith, emphasizing the guidance and wisdom he had received from him over the years. Anakin believed there must be a misunderstanding. However, the Jedi remained unconvinced. They recognized that Palpatine's increased emergency powers hinted at ulterior motives, with Yoda particularly curious after witnessing Anakin's vision of the Jedi's downfall. He was resolute in preventing such a future. Unable to passively witness the erosion of their order, Yoda made a decision. Amidst the discussions, Yoda addressed Skywalker, assigning him a critical mission deemed essential by the Jedi. As the Jedi fell silent and turned their attention to Yoda, he explained that they were tasking Anakin with monitoring the Chancellor. Yoda assured Anakin that nothing needed to change in his interactions. He was simply to report any unusual observations back to the Jedi. While the outcome might prove Palpatine's innocence, there was a chance of discovering pertinent information, viewing it as a means of vindicating Palpatine. Anakin initially felt angry towards the Council, but later reasoned that proving Palpatine's innocence would affirm his loyalty to the Jedi. Though hesitant, Anakin accepted the proposal, committed to demonstrating Palpatine's innocence to the Council. Anakin didn't perceive this as espionage, but rather an attempt to save a friend. After Anakin left, the Council erupted into debate, torn between agreeing and disagreeing with Yoda's decision. Yoda silenced the discourse, emphasizing the necessity of finding the Sith Dooku had claimed was manipulating the Republic from within. The evidence pointed towards Palpatine, who was closely associated with Anakin, but no other Jedi. While some, including Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Mephisto, believed in Skywalker's ability to make the right choice, others doubted his resilience against the darkness, especially considering his past flirtations with it in battle. The meeting concluded in a stalemate, with Anakin tasked to spy, further dividing the Council in unforeseen ways. Anakin, still reeling from the Jedi's request to spy on his friend, sought solace in Padme's apartment. Though not visibly enraged as he was in the canonical timeline, he remained deeply unsettled. The Jedi's lack of trust in the Republic, the very entity they swore to protect, left him disillusioned. Yet, as he reflected on the visions haunting him, he realized that harboring such resentment would only lead him further down a dark path, one he desperately wanted to avoid. Anakin dreaded the notion that his anger might ultimately consume him, a fear compounded by the unsettling visions he'd experienced. When Padme returned from a Senate meeting, she immediately sensed something amiss in Anakin's demeanor. Despite his attempts to conceal his turmoil, Padme's keen perception picked up on subtle shifts in his behavior. Concerned, she gently probed, prompting Anakin to open up about his inner turmoil. The Jedi's request to spy on the Chancellor, his haunting visions, and his overwhelming fear of succumbing to his own darkness. It was a level of vulnerability Anakin had seldom displayed before. He acknowledged his inner turmoil and confessed his deep-seated fear of his own capabilities, especially in light of his visions. Though their conversation delved into dark territory, Padme's presence brought a sense of tranquility to Anakin. Simply being in her arms made him feel safe. Padme offered words of wisdom reminiscent of Obi-Wan or Master Windu, urging Anakin not to dwell on his visions, but to strive to be the best version of himself. She emphasized the importance of acceptance and resilience, cautioning him against allowing his fears to consume him. As they talked late into the night, Anakin found solace in Padme's unwavering support. However, despite her comforting words, he couldn't shake the consuming thoughts plaguing his mind. As he drifted off to sleep, he was once again plagued by a vision. Anakin found himself transported to a desolate, fiery world, its landscape dominated by rivers of molten lava. The oppressive darkness seemed to suffocate everything in its path. However, amidst the grim backdrop, the sight of Padme's ship entering orbit brought a fleeting sense of solace to Anakin's troubled mind. As Padme's ship touched down, Anakin rushed to embrace her, seeking comfort in her presence. Yet, the reunion took a chilling turn when Padme spoke of the darkness she perceived within him. Anakin's response was fraught with defiance, as he defiantly proclaimed his ambitions of creating a new empire, overthrowing his master and ruling together with Padme by his side. Padme's tearful gaze bore onto Anakin's soul, her words laden with sorrow and resignation. The arrival of Obi-Wan only served to escalate the tension, triggering a sudden outburst from Anakin. In a fit of rage, he lashed out at Padme, his hands closing around her throat in a desperate attempt to silence her accusations. Anakin was wrenched from the depths of his nightmare, his anguished scream echoing through the darkness of his room. Sweat soaked his brow as he struggled to shake off the lingering horror of the vision that had gripped him so tightly. Padme jolted awake at the sound of her husband's scream, immediately understanding the turmoil that plagued his restless nights. She knew from past experiences, particularly with Anakin's mother, that sometimes words weren't necessary. What Anakin needed was comfort and peace. With a tender touch, she went to him, wrapping him in her arms and offering silent solace. Eventually, they found respite in each other's embrace, drifting off to sleep together. Padme feeling the weight of Anakin's troubles, but determined to support him through it. The following day, Anakin met with the Chancellor in his office, his wariness not escaping from the notice of the astute politician. Despite Anakin's attempt to dismiss it, the Chancellor persisted, eventually revealing the urgent news of General Grievous's location on Utapau. Anakin, though inwardly preoccupied, bowed and swiftly left the chamber, his thoughts consumed by the impending mission and the weight of his own internal conflicts. Upon returning to the Jedi Council chambers, Anakin was met with an air of palpable tension, a stark departure from the usual serenity. Though he relayed the information about General Grievous's whereabouts, the heavy atmosphere lingered, leaving Anakin uneasy. They explained how Mace Windu was being sent to aid the Wookiees and how they figured Obi-Wan was the best choice to face Grievous, given his experience against the droid. Sensing Yoda's somber demeanor, Anakin felt a pang of concern, but hesitated to voice his inquiries, and soon walked out of the chamber with Obi-Wan. Later, as he stood in the shadow of the hangar pad, bidding farewell to his master Obi-Wan as he departed for Utapau, he couldn't shake the feeling of impending change looming over the Jedi Order. His unease only deepened when in the war room, looking over the Battle of Utapau, Yoda spoke about change happening to the Order, and how Mace Windu has asked Yoda to step down off the Council. Windu believed Yoda was becoming too senile to be in power. Desperate to dissuade Yoda from stepping down, and fearing the potential consequences of Mace Windu assuming leadership, Anakin pleaded with his revered mentor, voicing his concerns with uncharacteristic urgency. Despite his genuine respect for Yoda, Anakin couldn't ignore the unsettling prospect of the Council's direction without Yoda's steadying influence. With a heavy heart, Yoda promised to consider Anakin's words, urging caution as Anakin set out to inform the Chancellor that Kenobi has engaged Grievous. In the Chancellor's office, Anakin stood face to face with Palpatine, the weight of recent events heavy on his mind. As he relayed the news of Obi-Wan's confrontation with Grievous, Palpatine's response sent a chill down Anakin's spine. A mere "good" accompanied by a fleeting grin. The Chancellor's nonchalant demeanor contrasted sharply with the gravity of the situation, as if he were privy to a secret Anakin had yet to uncover. Inviting Anakin to walk with him, Palpatine deftly steered the conversation towards Anakin's recent exclusion from the Utapau mission. Anakin's frustration simmered beneath the surface, but he only offered a shrug in response, masking the turmoil within him. However, when Palpatine suggested that the dark side could get rid of Anakin's fears and safeguard those he held dear, Anakin's interest was piqued. Delving deeper, Anakin probed for Palpatine's knowledge of the dark side, prompting an unsettling revelation about his mastery under Darth Plagueis. The revelation struck Anakin like a blow, shattering the trust he had placed in the Chancellor. As conflicting emotions surged within him, Anakin found himself grappling with a betrayal that cut deeper than any before. With trembling hands, Anakin ignited his lightsaber, the hum of its blade filling the tense silence of the room. For a moment, he contemplated the path before him, torn between his loyalty to Palpatine and his duty as a Jedi. The thoughts of betraying the Chancellor, whom he had come to regard as a father figure, filled him with a profound sense of anguish. Ultimately, Anakin made his decision. With resolve etched upon his face, he extinguished his lightsaber and declared his intention to expose Palpatine's treachery to the Jedi Council. Palpatine's response was dismissive, his smirk a mockery of Anakin's resolve. As Anakin left the Chancellor's office, his heart heavy with conflict, he knew that the choices he had made would shape the course of his destiny in ways he could scarcely imagine. Returning to the temple, Anakin was met with a scene of chaos and discord. The once serene halls now echoed with the clash of lightsabers as Jedi turned against their own brethren. Anakin's heart sank as he witnessed the division tearing through the very fabric of the Order. In the midst of the turmoil, Anakin sought out Yoda, finding him amidst the fray, trying desperately to quell the violence. Anakin joined his side. As the battle raged on, Anakin's voice boomed through the chaos, a beacon of reason amidst the madness. He implored his fellow Jedi to halt their senseless fighting, to remember the principles of peace and unity that defined their order. With passion and conviction, Anakin denounced the infighting tearing their ranks apart, urging them to set aside their differences and unite against the true enemy, the Sith who sought to destroy them from within. In the hushed aftermath of his impassioned plea, Anakin's words hung heavy in the air, challenging each Jedi to confront darkness that threatened to consume them. For in that moment, Anakin knew that the fates of the Jedi Order hung in the balance, and only by standing together could they hope to prevail against the forces of darkness. As he was waiting for anything to happen, a Jedi Temple guard came up. He looked around, and much to Anakin's surprise, he stabbed right through the heart of Agan Kolar, igniting the scrum once again between all the Jedi. Yoda and Anakin, narrowly escaping danger, stealthily navigated the intricate ventilation system within the Jedi Temple. Amidst the confined passages, Anakin revealed the unsettling truth about Palpatine to Yoda, who realized the imminent disturbance in the Force. Within an hour, the galaxy underwent a seismic shift. The equilibrium was disrupted. As Yoda met Skywalker's gaze, he imparted the profound revelation that Anakin was the chosen one destined to vanquish the Sith. Despite Anakin's reluctance, Yoda urged him to confront Palpatine alone, while Yoda remained at the temple to restore order and quell the turmoil. Reluctantly, Anakin watched Yoda descend from the vents, leaving him with the weighty responsibility. Determined, he traversed the vents, emerging in the hangar bay. Boarding a speeder, he raced towards the Chancellor's office, torn between the conflicting forces within him. In the decisive confrontation with Palpatine, Anakin refrained from igniting his lightsaber, declaring his intent to arrest the Chancellor. Palpatine, unfazed, questioned the alleged crime and said it wasn't illegal to be a Sith. Anakin, now grappling with the complexity of accusing a Sith in a time where it technically wasn't against Republic law, froze in uncertainty, realizing the difficulty of this mission. Anakin's mind went blank. He couldn't arrest the Chancellor right now. He posed no threat. Was he even really a Sith? Or was this an elaborate plot by the Sith to make the Jedi seem like traitors by taking out the Chancellor? Anakin just straight up refused to attack unless he was attacked first. He stayed hyper-fixated on the Chancellor and just said, "Just come with me, Chancellor. We can prove your innocence. I don't believe you are the Sith Lord. You were coerced. You were lied to like the Sith does. Just come with me." Anakin, truthfully, didn't expect Palpatine to be the Sith Lord, even though that's what Palpatine told him. The Jedi told him that they expected Palpatine to be in leagues with the Sith, either willingly or unwillingly, and Palpatine, to this point, never showed any Force prowess. But Anakin also wasn't stupid, and the very, very small chance that Palpatine was the Sith Lord, he was ready for anything. Palpatine thought for a moment. His mind looked like it wanted to take a way out for a second. But soon after, Palpatine ushered a huge grin onto Skywalker and said, "So be it." And he ignited the Crimson Blade, much to Anakin's surprise. It couldn't be. He just couldn't be the Sith Lord. Sidious caught the conflict within Anakin and didn't attack. Yet. Instead, he sprinkled the seeds of doubt within the Jedi, telling him that the Jedi betrayed him and they can't even protect him, as they can't even protect themselves. Palpatine delved into the complexities of the light side, and having insider information from the soon-to-be Grand Inquisitor in the temple, he knew there was a coup and used that to his advantage, speaking about how strong the darkness was and how weak the light was in comparison. And truthfully, Anakin wanted to join. He saw the darkness of the Jedi today, killing each other, murdering for power, especially Mace Windu. And Palpatine felt Anakin's rage pick up just thinking about Windu. But as soon as it raised, it calmed down, as he thought about Yoda and Obi-Wan and Padme and what they embodied. Then he thought back to his visions he had, and he knew he couldn't join the Sith. He had Sith eyes in the nightmare. This wasn't just partaking in a coup. If he'd go down that path, he'd kill Padme. Still, with his lightsaber designated, as Palpatine did not attack yet. "So be it," he said once more. Thrusting forward with a resounding, ear-splitting howl, Anakin reacted just in time, caught off guard by the swiftness of the aging Sith Lord. Their blades clashed repeatedly, Anakin managing to match the pace of the Sith Lord. The room was engulfed in a flurry of blue and red, with only shadows and silent witnesses observing the intense duel. Palpatine swiftly flipped over Anakin, unleashing a torrent of Force lightning that slammed him into the back wall, momentarily dazing him. Seizing the opportunity, Palpatine leaped forward, lightsaber aimed at Anakin, but the young Jedi regained his bearings, evading the strike at the last moment, causing the Crimson Blade to embed itself in the wall. Anakin smirked defiantly, remarking, "You'll need to be quicker if you want to best me," his cockiness evidenced amidst the chaos. Though still torn by inner conflict, Anakin realized that the Sith Lord's intent was clear: to kill him. In the heat of the battle, Anakin found a semblance of calm, his connection to the Force growing stronger as he focused solely on defending himself against Palpatine's relentless assaults. As the clash between light and dark intensified, Palpatine's true fury emerged, his meticulously crafted plans crumbling in the face of Skywalker's resilience. Engaged once more in a fierce lightsaber lock, Palpatine unexpectedly drew another lightsaber from a nearby statue, catching Anakin off guard. Adapting to the new threats, Anakin shifted to a defensive stance, anticipating Palpatine's advantage with dual blades. Backpedaling, Anakin narrowly avoided each strike, his life hanging in the very balance with every move. As the battle raged on, it became evident that Palpatine held the upper hand. Anakin found himself on the brink of defeat multiple times, each encounter with death serving as a stark reminder of the Sith Lord's formidable power. Palpatine unleashed a barrage of Force lightning, which Anakin managed to block, but the relentless assault pushed him to the edge. Just as victory seemed within Palpatine's grasp, both combatants sensed a presence approaching the door. Clones. Anakin saw this as an opportunity, given his close relationship with the clone troopers and his revered status as the Republic's hero. However, Palpatine, ever the manipulator, twisted the situation to his advantage, painting the Jedi as traitors attempting to seize power. Anakin desperately tried to reason with the clones, explaining Palpatine's true identity and his treacherous intentions. But Palpatine, from his perch at the window, spun a convincing narrative of an assassination attempt on his life by the Jedi. Betrayed by his own charisma, Anakin found himself under fire from the clones. Bouncing onto the Chancellor's table, Anakin deflected the blaster bolts raining down upon him, but a stray shot pierced his shoulder, sending him hurtling out the window and into the bustling streets of Coruscant below. And that is the end of today's story, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. As I said in the intro, this will be pretty much multiple parts. It's going to be following different main characters though. It's going to have the same story, but it's going to be following different characters. Like next episode, I don't know, I didn't write it yet. I don't even have a script down for it, but it could be following Windu or Yoda or even Obi-Wan for that matter, but in the same timeline, with the same events that happened and all that. We'll find out what happened to Anakin, what happened to the Order after the coup, and everything. So thank you so much for watching. I have a blast writing these, and this new story thing I'm gonna try out, and if it's good, then yeah, it is what it is. Alright, thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.